Well, hello everyone. Now, when you have a cat, one of the things you have to expect is that there's going to be a litter box. In fact, the rule of thumb is that for every cat that lives in your house, you need at least one litter box plus one. So if you have three cats, you should have four boxes. You can imagine my house with 30 cats. I actually do not have 31 boxes. There aren't enough corners in this house, but I digress. The challenge is, what litter should you use and how much? And it's not a simple thing. You can find some litter at the grocery store, you can go to your local farm store and find litter, and there's all kinds of other options. You have this stuff that changes color based on your cat's health. You got stuff that you can just wash. Sometimes it clumps, sometimes it doesn't. What should you be using? Well, hi everybody. It's Wednesday, 6 o'clock, and it's time for Cat Chat with Penny. I'm Penny, and we're going to chat about cats. Now, I want to always stress that I'm coming here as the executive director of Mew Mew House, which is a retirement home and hospice for cats. I am not a cat behaviorist. I'm not a veterinarian, a vet tech, or anything like that. But I share my house with 30 cats. And many of them are very old and have all kinds of health problems. So what I'm sharing with you is my experiences with caring for all of these cats. So I'm here in currently rainy Western New York, just outside of Rochester. So I'd be interested to know where you're watching from. Are you watching from, not like I'm in my living room. Um, what part of the world are you in? What are you, where are you? Yeah, that's the question. Where are you? Because I like to know who I'm reaching and who's listening. It helps me figure out how I can help everyone. Because my goal here is not just to help the cats in my house, but to help you so that you have a good relationship with your cats. Hello, Marion. Marion, New York, just down the road from me. All right. So I can see some comments here. Can't always see the comments. It's just a thing, the way the system works. But I get some of the comments here while I'm live. But if you make a comment and I don't respond to you, that's okay. I'll be checking the YouTube stream. I'll be checking on LinkedIn, and I will check both places on Facebook where I'm broadcasting right now. All right, so here we are. Litter. Cat litter. Ugh. All right, the one thing that's probably the most miserable part of running a retirement home and hospice for cats is all of the litter boxes. There is no two ways about it. I have to scoop litter boxes at least once a day. I'd be better off doing it twice a day because I don't quite have enough litter boxes really for all the cats, especially since some of them are diabetic and have kidney problems, which means there's lots of litter use. But one of the things that we have to think about, so all right, what's the best litter to use? So we have to think about what litter is for. So litter is to emulate the natural environment where your cat would relieve himself, him or herself, out in the wilderness. So, and I've watched cats, the feral cats or whatever, and what do? They find some place, they do their business, and then they cover it up. And so you want to emulate that as best as possible in your home. Well, how do you do that? Well, we have a box, and generally we have a box and put sand in it. If you have a sandbox outside for your kids, you know your cats are using that as a litter box. So having something like that inside is the greatest thing. So, and we need to have this because otherwise cats will get creative. You do not want cats thinking outside the box in your house. So what do we think about when we're thinking about litter? Now, I'm not going to talk about the dynamics of the actual box right now because there's all sorts of different options in boxes as well. You could go crazy with that. We're just going to talk about the litter specifically. So what do we think about when we're thinking about what litter to use? Well, in my case, with so many cats and going through probably more than 100 pounds of litter every week, I had to think about cost effectiveness. I also have to consider how good it works. In some cases, it's helpful to think about, is this eco-friendly? I mean, clay litter is great, but it's also dusty and kind of messy, and maybe it's not the greatest thing to create. So that might be important to you. You also have to think about, what are your cats like? It's a very interesting thing that some cats, just like the different styles and shapes of boxes out there, some of them don't like particular litters. And right now in this house, we're using at least 3 different kinds of litter, and some cats have definite preferences. So this is what we do to try to to keep the messes down. Because if they don't like the litter box, guess what? They're going to go somewhere else. That's what they do. Another consideration that has arisen is that sometimes the cats, they get it on themselves, they groom it off. Do you really want them eating clay? There are other considerations. So you just have to pay attention to that. So let's sort of run down the list of the different types of litter there are out there. Most people, by and large, use a clumping clay litter. The great thing about a clumping clay litter is that it's like sand in the litter box, and cats relieve themselves in it. Any wet messes clump together, so you get this solid chunk that's easy to scoop out. And also, there are other debris they can bury, so that's great. So it's super common to use the clumping clay litter, but it's expensive. It can be extremely expensive. If you want the best clumping litter, you're gonna spend a pretty penny, which gets a little out of control. Like I said, if you're running a rescue of any kind. All right. What other kinds are there then? Well, then there's the non-clumping clay litter, which you can find at just about any old place, grocery store, or whatever. And it's very similar, but it doesn't clump. So yeah, you have to pay attention to it. You scoop out the solid pieces, and then slowly any liquid deposits are absorbed, and then you just dump out the whole thing, clean out the box, and start over. That's great. That can be pretty cost effective, and if you've got a lot of animals moving in and out, that can work really well. These are the most common kinds of litter. Now, a super common litter right now is the silica gel litter, and that changes color. It's supposedly absorbent, which is great because silica gel is used. You find that actually in a lot of packaging to absorb moisture. So they make litter out of this stuff, so it absorbs whatever moisture your cat leaves behind, and then you can scoop out any solid debris. In principle, sounds fantastic, especially that it changes color depending on the chemistry of your cat's urine. Downside is, at least my understanding, because I haven't actually tried it, if you have very many cats, there's a limit to its absorbability. Absorbitude? It's making up words now, but the amount of material that it can actually absorb. If you've got a lot of cats, it can wind up being a nightmare. If you only have like one cat, apparently it's fantastic. So, I mean, I'm not going to risk it because the people I've talked to or read about who have had large cat families, it just hasn't worked for them. So I'm not likely to try that one out. And then what we have are a lot of the natural product kind of litters. Um, like the recycled paper litter is fantastic. And some of these will even clump. But yeah, the paper litter that sometimes comes in pellets. We have pine litter, wheat litter, corn litter, coconut litter, all of these different kinds of litter, which can be fantastic. You might wind up spending a lot of money on it. But many of them do actually clump, and they're natural, so you don't have to worry about. I mean, clay, yeah, clay is natural too, but a lot of times, there's a lot of dust that comes up with the clay litters, which is different when you're dealing with natural fibers. So that's one thing to consider. And I've also read and have been experimenting with actually using pelleted horse bedding, because it also does a really nice job of absorbing water or urine. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily clump, but it actually doesn't smell that bad. So, I mean, it's something I'm trying. I'm not sure. The nice thing about that, though, is that you get a 50-pound bag for $5. it helps quite a bit. So these are the kinds of litters that are available out there. But by far, the most common thing for people to use is actually the clumping clay litter. So I did a little survey on the Cat Chat Facebook group, and you can see here, it's a little hard to see, but this right here, this is a histogram of all the people who actually voted. 47 people voted, what kind of litter they use. This line right here is the clumping clay litter. This next one, next highest, is the non-clumping clay litter. So there's a lot of people who use non-clumping. I've been using non-clumping recently. Then we have, this is the crystalline litter, the silica gel. And then we do have one vote for the reusable litter. Now, the reusable litter is a litter that you can actually wash, and this is beneficial for some of these automatic litter boxes that actually rinse off the litter as they're cleaning, self-cleaning. So that's an option. And then here is the paper natural product kind of litter. So you can see that by and large, people really, really love the clumping litter. And I enjoy it too, but I'm doing a lot of the non-clumping because it really is remarkably less expensive, even though you have to empty the boxes more often. It isn't that bad. So I mean, if you're interested in this, you can think about, what litter do you use? Do you have any other thoughts on litter? You can feel free to comment that. Or if you're a member of the Cat Chat, the Facebook group is called Cat Chat with Penny. It's a private group, but you can vote there and see if, there's something you use or you have some thoughts on it. But it's pretty interesting to see how this came out. Make that go away. Bye-bye. All right. So what's the end conclusion? I can't give you a conclusion on what is the very best litter that you should use. You need to use what works for you. All right. Most people like the clumping litter because it can be convenient for cleaning. It can also be very challenging if you don't clean it very often. It can become this big, huge mass that can be very difficult to deal with. Non-clumping litter, you have to dump the litter boxes frequently. So there is no magic perfect choice for you here. You go with what works for you in your situation, and also pay attention to what your cat prefers. So I hope that this is helpful to you today. I just like to, like I said, I like to share um, what I've learned along the way. And like I said, here at Mew Mew House, I really love using clumping litter, but I've been using a lot of non-clumping as well as the natural fiber, actually horse bedding recently because it's more cost effective. If you like what you've heard, please like and share um, this broadcast. If you're in the Cat Chat with Penny Facebook group, you can't actually share out of that group because it's a private group. However, there is a Mew Mew House Facebook page, which is public, and I'm broadcasting there. So you can share from there, or you can share from LinkedIn, or go to the YouTube channel. And I will be soon enough making a blog post for this as well so that you can share from there as well. And like I mentioned, this is all to support Mew Mew House, which is the retirement home and hospice for cats that I run right here out of my house. This room right now is my only cat-free space because I've got stuff in here I don't want the cats to get into. But if you like what you see and you want to support my mission, please go to mewmewhouse.org and consider donating. We certainly appreciate that. We are now a nonprofit and we're working on becoming that 501c3 so that we can really get out there and do the most good we can in the world. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week. It's Wednesday, 2 more days left to the traditional work week. Have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye.